Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. In our first story, the city authorities ran into the most stubborn person in town. That person turned out to be our OP's grandfather. But why not honor a worthy man in our first video? But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. My grandfather shuts down Main Street with some malicious compliance. This is my absolute favorite story about my late grandfather. I was young at the time this happened, but have talked to a few people in adulthood to get a few details I didn't know before. My grandfather lived on Main Street in a small farming town of a few thousand. The town was laid out in the classic grid pattern off the main highway. On his property, he had 3 large pine trees 40 to 50 feet high in a line fairly close to the sidewalk, and over the years the roots had started to lift up and crack some of the sidewalk. Understandably, the town wasn't pleased and wanted the trees removed so further damage wasn't incurred. Instead of coming to my grandfather to find a solution, they sent over an invoice for tree removal from property that amounted to more than his yearly property tax. Instead of paying, he chose malicious compliance. He took out his chainsaw and felled all 3 trees right across Main Street, without warning, on a long weekend Friday. When the town responded with a few workers, my grandfather bluntly argued the trees weren't on his property, therefore couldn't be charged for their removal. They looked at the invoice the town sent, and rather than argue with the most stubborn man in town, they decided to just cut up and haul off the trees themselves. It took all afternoon and traffic was detoured around the block. They patched the sidewalk and the stumps are still there to this day. The town got the trees removed and my grandfather didn't pay a cent. Win-win. And our second story. A family of choosing beggars almost tore my family apart. The cast. Me is me. M is mom. D is dad. Gary is choosing cousin. GF is choosing cousin's girlfriend. Grandma is dad's mom. No direct CB dialogue. Bit of background. My father's an only child, and even though he was not rich as a kid, my grandmother did everything she could to provide for him. Now he owns 5 rental houses and we live very well. My mother, on the other hand, was one of many children in a poor family. Her parents were not nice to their kids, who never learned to value anything and ended up really selfish. My mom did not end up that bad, although she did have some really bad habits. Still, she was a great mom, and that's that. Mom's family would always try to get as much out of us as they could, money, appliances, tools, etc., and always promised to return it. We never let them have anything we weren't prepared to lose. Dad always said no, and Mom always wanted to let them have anything they wanted since they would try and shame her into feeling guilty and giving in. We once gave my aunt and uncle a nice new microwave for Christmas since they just moved and pretty much had no furniture. They complained that it was cheap. It was not cheap and asked for the receipt. What did they give us in return? An expired $5 gift card for Kmart. Yeah, we eventually stopped doing Christmas with the in-laws. But we still have Dad's mom, awesome grandma, over every holiday. Quite a few years back, I had a day off from work, and when Mom came home, I immediately recognized that look. Me. What's wrong? M. Oh, well, Gary and GF don't have any money. Big shocker since they drink and smoke and won't get jobs, and they're going to be out on the street by the end of the week. It was Monday. Me. Oh, well, maybe Gary should have gotten a job. Didn't they just have another kid, too? M. Yeah, but this time it's serious. I don't know what I'm going to do. Me. Nothing. It's not your problem. A while later, Dad woke up for work, night security, and she started crying. I'm not sure how she did it on command, but just wow. D. What's wrong? M. Gary and GF are going to lose their house, and there's nothing I can do. D rolls his eyes. Who the F cares? They shouldn't get a free ride their whole lives. M. I wanted to help them, and I was wondering. D. No. M. Maybe they could stay in the mobile home. My parents purchased our 2-acre lot for very cheap because it only had a small mobile home and a large empty barn with a metal roof. They built it from the ground up around the frame while we lived in the mobile, and now it's a 2-story, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2-rec room house with a library filled with thousands of books and movies. Sorry, not trying to brag, just wanted to point out that my parents worked very hard to provide for my sister and I. Me. Not a effing chance. They'd never leave. M. That's not true. It's 100% true. D. Honey. M. Gary said he'd help out with yard work and everything. Bull effing crap. D. Not wanting to deal with this tonight. We'll talk about it tomorrow. M. Looking like she just won the lottery. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. The discussion the next day went about as well as you'd expect. Mom argued that they were family and you'd let your mom move in. Yes, because unlike the CB family, Grandma would actually have earned that sort of care through years of love and hard work. They argued for days on end, screaming at each other. One morning while she was getting ready for work and Dad was watching TV, she started bad-mouthing Grandma, calling her an old pig, a bee, and so many other horrible things. She had always hated Grandma, who went out of her way to be nice to my mom and always got her presents for her birthday and Christmas. I heard this and finally lost it on her. Me. Shut the F up, you lying bee. Grandma is not a pig or a bee. Don't you dare say that about her, you stupid cow. She exploded, cussing me out and telling me she wanted me out of her house. D. Stop it, M. Leave her alone. M. No, I'm sick of all of you hating me and my family so much. The bombshell. I want a divorce. The room was silent. Finally, Dad spoke. Fine. And with that, he went back to watching TV. My mom was frozen in place. She'd actually threatened to divorce my dad and leave her kids, love her, but would have stayed with Dad in this situation over her crappy entitled family. She didn't say anything and left for work. Later that evening when she got home, she was very quiet and hardly said a word. This kept up for the rest of the week. She probably felt ashamed that she admitted to caring more about them than us. The kicker? They went looking for a new place and found one in a single day. They hadn't even looked for another place since they were so sure Mom could convince Dad to let them leech off us. Mom passed away a few years back, leukemia. Hit really fast, took her in less than a week since she always had very poor health. Dad called Gary to tell him he was actually very courteous, didn't ask for anything, just how sorry he was for the loss. But there was honestly one good thing about it all. We'll never have to deal with that train wreck of a family again. Edit. Just to clarify a few things, they did not get the divorce. He called her bluff, she felt bad and dropped it. She did not care for them more. I think my choice of words has some people confused. She simply acted like she did. And our last story. My entitled grandma's claim to inheritance, which could have ruined me and my siblings' future. A little context. My family's a pretty well-off family. My mom and dad have garnered money and land for their business and were able to send me and my 2 siblings to a local international school. The majority of the land they bought were in my mother's name because of a stupid reason totally unrelated to this story. Remember this point. My mom, however, passed away with a brain tumor before I could even finish high school 5 years ago, but to this day I'm still affected by that event. Before she passed away, Dad felt that something around the conflicts regarding inheritance would occur, so he tries to clear everything, even visiting the land registry every day for a whole month and transferring the inheritance into the name of him, me, and my siblings. Now, as you all probably know, where there's a lot of inheritance involved, your family's about to get busy. Enter entitled grandma, e.g., my deceased mom's mother. There weren't really any issues to begin with. My dad promised to let E.G. stay in the home he and my mom built. The home was registered in my dad's name. He even provided her a monthly payment of approximately $650. Might not sound like much, but in my country, that was enough to live comfortably, considering she isn't responsible for rent and other bills. Everything, apart from some minor stupid inheritance claims here and there, seems fine for about 3 years. The 4th year is when crap goes down. Around that time, I was doing a master's degree in the UK, which I recently just graduated at the time of this post. My sister's doing an undergraduate in Australia, and my younger brother's about to graduate high school, as it's always been both my parents' goal to send us abroad for education. You can pretty much guess the financial burden my dad has now. EG, however, decides it's none of her concern and decides to sue. Apparently, according to the lawsuit document, she's entitled to all the land that's registered in my mom's name prior to her signing it off. The house my dad is letting her live in, along with other stuff worth over millions in US dollars. You might be thinking, WTF, but didn't your mom sign the inheritance document? This is where it gets more effed up. Despite my dad sending my mom to be treated in one of the best and most expensive private hospitals in the country and splurging nearly $1 million in medical treatment, EG still claims this person has attempted to indirectly murder my daughter and intends to hog all the inheritance to himself. These included blurting out excuses like tricking her during a not fully conscious state, it's a brain tumor after all, feeding her insanitary green water during her home stay period, or even intentionally instructing the doctors to not fully treat my daughter. What makes my blood even more was that EG did not care about the fact that me and my siblings, her grandkids, are still financially dependent on my dad for our education and livelihood, and wanted my dad put in jail on charges of an inheritance scam. The details of the lawsuit and stuff is complicated, but just to give you a summary, my dad has upper hand, albeit few loopholes exist, as all the documents have been signed and the patient documents did not support any of her stupid claims. He, however, decided to settle the lawsuit in court by saying that he'll pay EG $500K US dollars in cash, allowing her to stay in that home for the rest of her life and allowing her to collect rent on one of my dad's small condos for the rest of her life also. This is on the condition that EG cut all family ties with us and never bring the issue of inheritance to court ever again. When I asked my dad why he decided to settle by giving EG money, even though EG filed a lawsuit against him without regards to his financial burden and him still having the upper hand, he simply just uttered, "Your mom loved EG very much, and I promised her I'd never hurt EG." The aftermath. The lawsuit was settled about a year ago. If you're wondering what happens after, my mom's family is a complete mess. Last I heard, EG has already burned through all the money and is now receiving death threats from her group of relatives as they want in with the share. Now she's begging to see the grandkids she loves so much. Huh? Talk about karma. Karma's like a boomerang. It goes one way, then on the way back it smacks you upside the head, and it sounds like she's in for one hell of a whack upside the noggin. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.